Humans have built cities on every continent. We have carved roads through jungles, constructed dams across rivers, sent machines to other planets, and placed ourselves so thoroughly at the top of the food chain that most people alive today will never experience a moment where something larger and hungrier is considering whether to eat them. We are, by almost any measure, the dominant species on this planet. And yet, there are animals out there for whom that status means very little. Animals that look at a human being and run a calculation that does not end in retreat. The calculation ends in approach. Not out of territorial aggression, not because they have been startled or provoked, but because you represent something simple and ancient: calories. The question of which animals genuinely see humans as prey is more interesting than most people realize, because the answer is not what fear and folklore suggest. The animals most people are afraid of are often not the ones that would consider eating you, and the ones that would often look nothing like the monsters you have been imagining. Subscribe to Freud Mind and let us get into it. There is a significant difference between a defensive attack, a territorial attack, an accidental encounter, and a predatory attack. A defensive attack happens when an animal feels threatened: a bear defending her cubs, an elephant who has been startled, a snake that has been stepped on. The animal wants to neutralize a perceived threat and leave. It is not interested in you as food. A territorial attack happens when an animal defends its space: hippos, crocodiles near nests, dominant males during mating season. Again, the goal is threat elimination, not consumption. An accidental encounter is exactly what it sounds like. A shark investigates an unfamiliar object. A large cat happens upon a human in the wrong place. Most of these do not result in predatory follow-through. A predatory attack means the animal has identified you as a potential meal and has decided that pursuing you is worth the energy and the risk. These attacks are, statistically, the rarest category. And the reason they are rare connects to something fundamental about how predators think. Every predator in the natural world is performing a constant cost-benefit calculation. The question at the center of every hunting decision is some version of, is this worth the risk? A failed hunt that results in injury can be a death sentence. A broken leg, a torn muscle, a damaged eye. For a wild predator, these are not recoverable inconveniences. They are often the beginning of a slow decline toward starvation. This means predators are not reckless. They are conservative. They select prey that offers the best ratio of caloric return to physical risk. Which brings us to why, in most cases, they do not select humans. Humans are genuinely bad prey, and understanding why explains most of the statistics around animal attacks. We walk upright, which makes us look unusual and unpredictable compared to the quadrupedal prey most predators evolved to hunt. We are loud, we talk, we crash through vegetation, we make sounds that signal awareness and alertness rather than vulnerability. We travel in groups in most circumstances, and groups of anything are significantly more dangerous than isolated individuals. We use tools, we carry things, we throw things. We can produce fire, which every wild animal that did not evolve near humans has strong instinctive responses to. We fight back, and we fight back in ways that are genuinely dangerous to predators. Even a human with no weapons can cause serious injury to an animal if they resist effectively. The result is that most predators, most of the time, encounter humans and decide to leave. The math does not work in their favor. They choose the deer, the fish, the seal, the animal that provides calories without the risk of being blinded or having a rib cracked by a rock. This is not because predators respect us. It is because they are rational about energy and risk in a way that makes humans a poor economic choice for most of them. But certain animals, under certain circumstances, make a different calculation. Animals do not become man-eaters arbitrarily. There is almost always a reason, and the reasons form a consistent list. Hunger is the most fundamental. When natural prey is scarce, the threshold for what is worth hunting shifts significantly. Habitat loss pushes predators into closer contact with humans while simultaneously reducing the prey populations they evolved to hunt. Injury or old age reduces a predator's ability to hunt their normal, more agile prey, making slower and less capable prey relatively more attractive. Learned behavior. An individual animal, or sometimes a population that has discovered humans are available and obtainable. And mistaken identity, which is more common than predatory intent, in several of the cases people most often cite. With that framework established, let us talk about the animals. The first one should not surprise you, but the reason it belongs at the top of this list might. Polar bears are unique among bears in their relationship to humans, and the reason is the environment they evolved in. In the Arctic, food is genuinely scarce. Polar bears are hypercarnivores. They survive almost entirely on animal fat and protein, primarily from seals. Their entire existence is calibrated around maximizing caloric intake in an environment where calories are hard to come by. This creates a fundamentally different psychology from most bear species. Brown bears and black bears, which evolved in environments with abundant plant material, berries, fish, and small mammals, have many food options and generally prefer to avoid large, strange creatures like humans. Polar bears have fewer options and cannot afford to dismiss any potential food source without investigation. Polar bears have a sense of smell that is among the most powerful of any land mammal. They can detect seals through snow and ice from remarkable distances. They are capable of extraordinary patience, waiting hours at seal breathing holes for prey to surface. And critically, unlike most bears, they have relatively little instinctive fear of humans because they evolved in an environment where humans were rare and where nothing in their ecological history taught them that strange, upright creatures were dangerous. They investigate humans as they would investigate any unfamiliar potential food source. In many documented cases, that investigation becomes predatory. They are also exceptionally powerful. Large males can weigh over 700 kilograms. And unlike a surprised bear that wants to end a threat and leave, a polar bear that has decided to hunt you is focused on consumption rather than threat elimination. This distinction matters enormously in terms of how the encounter develops. In the Arctic, polar bears are the animal where the statistics most clearly show predatory behavior toward humans as a consistent pattern rather than an anomaly. The next animal has been hunting in essentially the same way for over 80 million years, and that evolutionary persistence should tell you something about how effective the strategy is. Crocodiles, large crocodilians generally, but saltwater crocodiles and Nile crocodiles specifically, are responsible for more predatory attacks on humans than almost any other animal on Earth. The numbers are difficult to precisely establish because many attacks occur in remote areas and go unreported. But estimates for Nile crocodile attacks in sub-Saharan Africa run into the hundreds annually, with a significant proportion being fatal. Understanding why crocodiles are such effective predators of humans requires understanding how they hunt. They are ambush predators that attack from the water's edge or from below the surface. They are extraordinarily patient. A crocodile may wait for hours or days for the right moment. They choose locations that humans reliably visit: riverbanks, lake shores, places where people collect water, wash clothes, fish, bathe. The water's edge is their domain and their advantage. Their attack, when it comes, involves a bite that is among the most powerful in the animal kingdom, combined with a death roll that prevents escape. Crocodiles also do not discriminate by species in the way many other predators do. Their evolutionary strategy is generalist ambush predation. Anything at the water's edge that is obtainable is prey. They do not require a specific target animal. They require an opportunity. Humans provide that opportunity with considerable regularity wherever human settlement overlaps with large crocodile populations, which it does across enormous areas of Africa, Australia, and South and Southeast Asia. The unsettling additional fact is that crocodiles can learn. Individual crocodiles in areas of high human contact have been documented, establishing feeding patterns specifically around human activity, appearing reliably at locations and times when humans are present at the water's edge. This is learned predatory behavior that is specifically oriented toward human prey. Big cats present the most nuanced case on this list, because the answer to whether they hunt humans is not the same for all big cats, or even for all individuals within the same species. As a rule, tigers, lions, and leopards avoid humans. They evolved in environments where humans were eventually armed, organized, and dangerous. And most wild big cat populations have a genuine avoidance response to human presence built into their behavior. Tiger attacks on humans, while they do occur, are relatively rare, given the extensive overlap between tiger range and human settlement in parts of Asia. Lion attacks in Africa are similarly uncommon relative to contact frequency. Most big cats would rather leave than engage, but certain individuals become what is traditionally called man-eaters, and the history of these cases reveals the pattern consistently. The Tsavo lions, a pair of male lions responsible for a significant number of deaths among railway workers in Kenya at the end of the 19th century, were found, upon examination, to have dental abnormalities that may have made hunting their normal prey more difficult and painful. The Champawat tiger, a tigress responsible for an extraordinary number of documented deaths in Nepal and India in the early 20th century, was found to have been shot previously and had 2 damaged canine teeth. Jim Corbett, the British hunter who eventually tracked and killed the animal, concluded that the dental injury had made her unable to catch and kill her natural prey efficiently, pushing her toward slower and more vulnerable targets. The pattern repeats throughout the documented history of big cat predation on humans. Injury, usually to the teeth or paws, reduced ability to hunt agile prey, increased opportunity due to human activity, individual learning that humans are obtainable. Leopards in particular have been noted for their adaptability and their willingness to enter human settlements, and certain individuals in areas where their natural prey has been heavily reduced have developed persistent patterns of hunting humans. They are smaller than lions and tigers, but correspondingly more maneuverable, and their habit of caching kills in trees means a successful hunt can sustain them for multiple days. Sharks deserve their own conversation precisely because the cultural narrative around them is so far from the biological reality. Jaws did something to the human imagination that the actual behavior of sharks does not support. Great white sharks are apex predators of extraordinary capability. Large, fast, equipped with exceptional sensory systems including electroreception that can detect the electromagnetic fields generated by the muscles of moving animals at distance. They are genuinely formidable, but they are not hunting humans. The evidence for this is the statistical reality of shark encounters. Even in areas of high shark activity and high human water use, predatory fatalities are comparatively rare. If great white sharks were actually targeting humans as prey, this would not be the case. The more accurate picture is one of exploratory behavior combined with mistaken identity. Sharks investigate unfamiliar objects, and their primary investigative tool is their mouth. A great white shark making a single exploratory bite on a surfboard or a diver is not performing a predatory attack. It is gathering information in the way its sensory system is designed to. The problem is that an exploratory bite from a great white shark is catastrophically injurious to a human, even when the shark does not follow through. The mistaken identity component is well established for certain species. Surfboards from below present a silhouette that resembles the seal and sea lion prey that great whites hunt in some of their primary habitats. A surfer paddling on a board in low-visibility water, seen from below, is genuinely difficult to distinguish from a seal at the surface. Most bite-and-release incidents are consistent with an animal that bit, tasted something that was not what it expected, and disengaged. Tiger sharks are somewhat more concerning in this regard because they are less selective and more persistent than great whites. They tend to be described as opportunistic with a broader prey profile. Bull sharks compound this by living in shallow, warm, coastal water and river systems that see significant human use. But even accounting for these species, the predatory hunting of humans is not the primary behavioral driver of shark attacks. Several animals that people rank among the most feared deserve a brief correction of the record. Wolves have an almost mythological place in human fear. Every fairy tale, every horror story, every dark forest narrative involves wolves as predators. The actual statistical history of wolf predation on humans in the wild is remarkably thin. Modern, healthy, wild wolf populations almost never attack humans, and fatal predatory attacks by wild wolves on adults are extraordinarily rare in the documented record. Wolves do occasionally prey on children in areas of significant human-wolf overlap, and historical records from pre-industrial Europe include genuine wolf attacks, but these typically involved wolves that were sick, cornered, or operating in conditions of significant food stress. The fear significantly outpaces the reality. Hyenas are another animal whose reputation significantly exceeds their actual predatory interest in humans. They are capable and dangerous, and spotted hyenas in particular are formidable predators. But documented predatory attacks on humans are uncommon. Most incidents involve individuals, particularly sleeping people in areas of high human-wildlife overlap, rather than the kind of organized, deliberate predation that hyenas direct toward their natural prey. Orcas, killer whales, present a fascinating case because they are unambiguous apex predators of the ocean, exceptionally intelligent and fully capable of killing any animal on Earth that lives in the sea. And there are no confirmed cases of a wild orca killing a human being. Attacks in captivity are a separate category, involving animals in abnormal circumstances. In the wild, orcapods have been documented approaching humans, investigating divers, and in some cases engaging in what appears to be play. The consistent absence of predatory behavior toward humans in the wild is striking given their capabilities and is not fully explained by simple biological incompatibility. Orcas eat everything from fish to blue whales. Piranhas, which appear in countless adventure films as flesh-stripping terrors, rarely cause serious harm to healthy adult humans in their natural environment. Their reputation is almost entirely disproportionate to the actual documented threat. What predators actually evaluate when they consider prey comes down to a fairly consistent set of factors: the energy available from the meal versus the energy required to obtain it, the likelihood of injury during the hunt, the size and speed of the target's awareness and alertness, and whether the target is isolated or in a group. Humans score poorly on most of these factors in most circumstances. We are aware and alert. We are loud. We travel in groups. We fight back in unpredictable ways. And we are not particularly energy-dense compared to the marine mammals, ungulates, and other animals that most predators evolved to hunt. The predators that do hunt humans successfully are almost always exploiting a specific exception to these general qualities: a human who is isolated, near water where a crocodile's advantage is maximized, at night when our vision is compromised, in territory where the predator has learned that humans are available and obtainable, or during circumstances of food stress that make the normally unfavorable calculation shift toward acceptable risk. There is a historical dimension to all of this that changes the picture considerably. The reason most predators have avoidance responses to humans is that for most of human prehistory, we were prey. Early hominins were hunted by a range of large carnivores: large cats, giant hyenas, crocodilians, possibly large raptors. The fossil record contains hominid skulls with puncture marks consistent with large felide predation. For most of the time that something resembling a human has existed on this planet, something larger and faster has been eating it. What changed was fire, and then spears, and then organized group hunting, and then language, and then increasingly sophisticated technology. Each of these innovations shifted the cost-benefit calculation for predators. Slowly, over tens of thousands of years, the animals that treated humans as prey faced increasingly fatal consequences for doing so, and the avoidance responses that most predators now show toward humans are in part the result of that long, selective pressure. If you were to rank the animals that most consistently and genuinely consider humans possible prey, the honest categories look something like this: polar bears, large saltwater crocodiles, and Nile crocodiles sit at the top. These are animals that will hunt humans deliberately. Certain individual big cats, particularly injured or old tigers, lions, and leopards in specific circumstances, sit in a secondary category of animals that become predatory toward humans under conditions that make it practical. After these come opportunistic animals that will take a human if circumstances align particularly well but do not seek them. Komodo dragons, which have a different predatory strategy involving a venomous bite and patient tracking. And very large constrictors in rare circumstances. Sharks occupy a complicated middle position, neither the movie monster nor the harmless bystander, but animals that occasionally mistake or investigate humans with results that range from minor to fatal, without this constituting the kind of deliberate, repeated hunting behavior that characterizes the animals in the first category. Then comes the vast territory of animals that are dangerous but not predatory toward humans. Most bears in most circumstances, hippos and elephants and rhinos that attack defensively rather than predatorily, wolves, hyenas, orcas, piranhas, most snakes. These animals can attack humans and sometimes do, but not because they are hunting us for food. The line between predator and prey is not a fixed truth about what species are. It is a constantly recalculated relationship between specific animals in specific circumstances. The most dangerous-looking predator is not always the one that would consider eating you. The animal that does consider eating you is often the one you would not have thought to fear in the specific conditions where your advantages as a human, your tools, your fire, your group, your noise, your unpredictability have been neutralized. A human alone, at the water's edge, in crocodile territory, is not at the top of the food chain in any practical sense. A human in that moment is prey. And the animals that have learned this, the ones that have calculated the cost and found it acceptable, are very patient and have been practicing longer than we have. Like and subscribe to Freud Mind for more.